I'd sort of just got out of drama school, you know, been a couple of years out of drama school, and to be in the presence of that calibre of actor was phenomenal. You know, Hugo Weaving was almost translucent in his performance. You know, it was like, I felt like sometimes I could touch him, my hand was going to go straight through him, you know. The only other time I really felt is when I was in a lift with David Bowie once, and I thought, you're not from here, man. You are not from this planet. Him and Charlie Sexton. But yeah, it was just one of those incredible experiences that always sort of stuck with me, because I was sitting with, you know, a great storyteller, you know, and a great human being too. He's an amazing human being. I was wearing a hard hat with Surface Supply, and they had a once-in-a-lifetime failure where the oxygen just stopped. We had a little bailout bottle on our backs, but there were a couple of things you had to crack, and I'd only just got my license like 2 weeks before, and I couldn't remember. So I've run out of oxygen, and I'm desperately trying to find the one to crack so I could get enough oxygen to get to the surface. So there are other instances where, you know, there was a huge wind and we were underwater, and they had to start the boat to move the boat, and you know, you were close to a prop that started, and so there were lots of different components that made it challenging. Yeah, that goes down for me as probably the greatest television experience, on the level that it was a big family. It was just a dream job for me, living in the country, living in the bush, you know, driving my old truck to work, riding horses, roping steers and cattle, and driving utes, and just being in that environment, and seeing the seasons so strongly, and being around campfires, and just that whole kind of, like I said, the white man's dreaming was very powerful. It was a really great experience. They'd made the decision that we're going to kill the character off, which I didn't mind, because usually there's a Logie when your character dies. So I was like, cool. And that didn't eventuate in the end, because they showed it on daytime television. But it was funny when we were shooting it, because they had this big polystyrene log that was only about, you know, 10 feet long and 2.5 feet wide, on some wires that they sort of dropped out of the tree, you know, and then I pretended to fall on the ground, and, you know, and then they had this log on the ground that they dug a hole and I got into. And then when I went into post to do some voice for it afterwards, they'd CGI'd, you know, with computer graphics, a 50-ton limb, you know, and it was massive. And I thought, man, that thing would have killed me instantly. Stepping into Grant's bowler's shoes to play his half-brother in the 3rd series was pretty challenging, because that whole dynamic was very powerful and quite successful, obviously, in the show. So I loved it. I would have loved to have done another series or another couple of series just to really bed in. It's always difficult coming in and doing one series or a bit in a series especially that was as powerful as that one was. But yeah, that was an honour to be a part of, you know. The horrible thing for me is that I can't do a New Zealand accent. I've been here since I was 16, right? And I spent all my time trying to fit in Australia by taking the piss out of the New Zealand accent, like all Aussies do, right? They just rip it to shreds. So I'd had this really exaggerated New Zealand accent, right? Really bad one. And so they got me a voice coach, and it just made it worse. Made it worse. Like, I'd go to Scotland, I'd go to Ireland, but I'd never quite land in New Zealand, you know? And so on that aspect, it was very frustrating. I'm in that film for all of, I don't know, 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes. I was on set for 7 days, you know, and we shot you know, about 4 films in 7 days, and we could have kept going and doing more. So yeah, I mean, obviously everything's on a much grander scale. You've got plenty of time. You get to do it a lot more. It was amazing to work with that director and just be around him for the time that I was. And Hugh Jackman came on set a couple of times, and he was, you know, as he is, an incredible human being. So yeah, I mean, I've done a couple of things like that, and you get on set and it's just there's all the bells and whistles and all the time in the world. But yeah, an honour to be, you know, I'm Wolf Daddy, so what can I say? I mean, if they ever go back, I'll have my own franchise, surely. I mean, Wolf Daddy, it's all about Wolf Daddy. He is the origin. They haven't done that yet, so they better get cracking. I had never been given an opportunity to play something like that. For the first time, I really felt like I had a chance to really stretch myself on screen, to really go somewhere that and create a character that you don't often get to do on screen. That's more a stage thing. And I'd spent so much time on doing film and television. Theatre's always been my love, but I've never really been able to do as much as I've wanted to. So to be able to play a character like that, and they gave me a lot of freedom. There was a lot of room to improvise and play around. That shot incredibly fast, 1-2 takes, but I loved it. Yeah. What I loved about Neighbours is to me it was like acting school. Now everybody there was really focused. All the kids there really wanted to learn. You know, they had a big green room and people had their own little space and they were rehearsing together and they also, I just thought it was a wonderful environment for them to learn. You know, like they did shoot really fast with 3 cameras in studio, but I loved that. I thought it was fun, you know, and you could see that the kids were, it was like film school really. So, you know, I really enjoyed the experience and I loved being able to pass on whatever knowledge I had gained in the last 20 years to the kids that I was working with, so it was great. As far as Bradley, I mean, he was a bit of an odd character because there was such an age difference between him and the young journo. It was kind of odd, but it was weird. But you know, it was fun to be a part of. It was really challenging playing Fletch because he was, you know, what I loved about Fletcher is he went through a journey. But he wasn't a character, and you should never judge your characters, but I found it hard to love him. That was a real journey for me with Fletcher. I did judge him and didn't like him a lot. And my partner didn't like him either. She'd say, listen, you can come home this weekend, but can you please not bring Fletch? so I was like, well, should I just stay in Melbourne? But no, it was an incredible experience, but a very, very challenging, I found, and I can't say that I enjoyed playing a character like that long term. I think if you do characters like that, it's good for a short while, but to do something series in and series out, to sit in that kind of headspace, wasn't particularly good for my mental health. Oh no, I love Set Dave. It was just so much fun. I haven't seen it, but I just know from some of the stuff we were doing, it was pretty out there. It was a great cast and great crew. And I love the producers, and you know, I really thought the writing was really good, you know. And again, everyone's really committed to it, and Jono was awesome, and the girl, what's her name, Tanya, is it? She was fantastic to work with, and they were just really lovely, and I really love working at that studio. I've you know, we did Outrageous there and that one, and it's just got a really cool kind of feel about it. And my mum was just living up the road in Massey at the time, so, you know, it was kind of really close just to go around and have a cup of tea with her. It was just one of those odd experiences, you know. It was this little film that we're shooting in Montreal. 3 directors, Canadian directors, who didn't speak a lot of English, mainly French, who were obsessed with Australian 80s cinema. So they'd written this script which was kind of a mix between Mad Max and BMX Bandits. And then it was New Zealand Canadian co-pro, so, you know, I got a role on it. Edwin, a guy called Edwin, got a role on it. And it had a couple of New Zealand producers and stuff. And so it was just this, you know, we went to Montreal and we were shooting in this big old factory, and it was supposed to be really dry because there's no water, but unusually, you know, with climate change, it was still snowing and freezing, and I remember we were working in this pool and it was like minus 20 degrees. So it was just one of those beautiful, different experiences you have as an actor.